Welcome to the Contractor Fight Sales Podcast. My name is Derek Johnson.
Yep. Hello, and I'm Tim Cutroni. It's great being here with you, Derek Johnson. What do you want to talk about today?
What do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about so many things, and certain things you can't talk about on a podcast. We already covered those. So we're going to talk about other things. And Tim, I want to talk about SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I'm sure we've done that multiple times on our podcast. But it's important.
Okay, so why is it important, Derek?
Thank you for asking, Tim. I really appreciate that. Here's the deal with business, is if you don't have SOPs in place, you can't scale your business. You can't. And I'm not talking about scaling like a lot of these 30-something-year-olds talk about scaling. They always want to talk about scaling. Well, if you're not careful, you're going to scale a turd. And if you don't have SOPs in place, you have a turd as a business, and you really do. And Tim, I would say that when you started out, you probably didn't even know what SOP means. I know I didn't.
I couldn't even spell it, dude. That's how bad it was.
Nice. Can't even. What? SO what?
SO. Yeah. Biscuit.
So it's just becoming more and more important. And in my own company, I'm realizing that we got a lot of tight things going on and a lot of tight SOPs. And there's several that we don't have in place that we're really working on. So when I say SOPs, and it sounds like I'm being redundant and constantly talking about this, it's just you have to form these things. You have to put them into place. And one simple SOP, which is crazy, is we went back and forth on this, trying to nail down how we collect money, how we collect deposits, and how does that go company-wide. Do we do 50, 25, 25? Do we do 35, 35, 30? Do we do 15, 15? And then, okay, so you do that. But then what if the project's $5,000 and less? And then what if the project's $20,000 and more? And we're going over this. And it's like, if we don't nail this down, guys, and here's what happens with me. And Tim, I'm going to let you run with it after I say this. This is what happens in companies. You start talking about these things and you just talk about them. You don't implement them. So that's my frustration right now, is we've had probably an hour's worth of conversation, which is not crazy, right? An hour's worth of conversation on how we're going to nail down, when we talk to a customer and a contract is formed, what is the draws, or what are the draws going to look like? Is it going to be 50, 25, 25, 35, 35, 30? At what amount? And we haven't nailed it down. If we don't get this into place, a customer's going to call. One of my sales team is going to do something, and they're just going to go back to default to 50% deposit, 50% on the back end. Thoughts, Tim?
I'm hearing what you're saying, and as you're speaking, I'm thinking, yep, deposits. It hits me because there was a time where I would take a 50% deposit up front because I could do that, and 50% when I'm done. And then you and I had a conversation, or I had a conversation with another fighter. And they were like, no, we get 50% to book it, and we get 25% the day we start. So that way I'm not on the hook for another 50% at the end chasing them. And it's like, I'm changing that.
75% of your money, right at the beginning.
Right. So I changed that right away. I just went to my contract and says, this is how it's going to happen from now on. If you don't create these SOPs, let me go with this. If you don't create these SOPs, it goes back to that thing that we heard from years ago, Groundhog Day. Keep on repeating the same stupid crap, and you're having misunderstandings and miscommunication. Way back when I didn't have anything like that, spring rolled around because we're seasonal business where we are. So we're off after November. We got 4 months. By the time we go back to business in April and March and April, it's like nobody knows where do we start, because it was never written down. What do we do in the spring? Before spring, we're writing down, we're getting a customer list together, putting our prices together. We're mailing these contracts out for the season. What if we didn't know that? Remember, it was the day we sent our contracts. Remember what that day was? It was an aquascape date.
Oh yes. So it was Super Bowl Sunday, and then Pandemonium, or Super Bowl Monday and Pandemonium Monday.
Yeah. So we send our contracts out after the Super Bowl day, the Monday after the Super Bowl, and that's what the industry was for our climate. That's what we did.
But it's an SOP, right?
Yeah, it's a standard.
This is when it's coming.
if you don't know, then you're sending your contracts out late in the season where business is should be already running. You should already have those checks in your bank account. If it wasn't for that simple, like, is it Super Bowl? And like, Super Bowl's on this Sunday. Oh yeah, I get these boxes. Like, I put my money on. But the day after Super Bowl, those letters have to have stamps on them. They'd be put in the mailbox. If Greg never said that, if they never said that, if we never had it, it'd be a free for all. But we didn't even know it was a stamp. We didn't know that was an SOP back then.
No, no, not at all. But that's my point, is we've created these, and as our business has expanded and grown, you have to have these things in place, and it has to be handed off the team. It has to become the mantra of your company. It has to become, when it's a standard is a standard. And it's just, you can't veer from that standard, and everybody knows it. And what happens is, and why you can scale your company and you can make it a sellable company and a non-owner dependent company, is when you have these in place and your team just goes, well, that's just what we do. And then you got team members that come in 3 or 4 years later after these things are active. They know no different. They go, oh, this is just what you do. So there's no emotion around it. There's no confusion around it. There's nothing vague or nebulous about it. And that's why I get frustrated a lot of times, is when we don't, excuse me, we don't get these SOPs nailed down quickly and efficiently. And yes, I can be very impatient. I know, sounds weird. If you know me at all, I'm like, that should be my middle name, Derek Patience Johnson's, because I'm not. It's like, calling the fat guy skinny, but whatever. But it evolves.
If you don't know if you need a SOP for something, I'm gonna give everybody a little hint. If you're in the heat of battle, like when you're in heat of business, when it's the busiest time of the year, and something happens that upsets you, write it down, because that requires an SOP. When things are quiet and there's no business, the phone's not ringing, you don't need an SOP. You don't need it. You're not aware that you need one. But the telltale sign, if there's a misunderstanding, is it's miscommunication, which is most of the problem, is a miscommunication most of the time. You better write it down and look around and ask, because somebody has already established an SOP for that.
Tim, so what I heard you saying is, when you're in the heat of the battle and something goes down and you don't know what to do, when your back is up against the wall, you don't have an SOP in place. That's when you know you need it, when you don't know what to do. It's so amazing when you got the 5 steps of the Shin-Fu process. That is an SOP. That's a standard operating procedure of sales. So when I'm backed into a corner, I know I can default to my training, and my training may be in the motive. My training may be in, like, let's talk about money now. My training may be in, let's talk about the influencers. Let's talk about significant others. My training may fall to, okay, now they want to consult, but I can actually ramble off. A consultation is experience-led conversation provided by a professional to give you usable information to make a buying decision. Why can I say that over and over and over and over? Because that's what I default to in my SOP within that particular realm. So, Tim, I just want to touch on on how do you put an SOP in place? And I think you said it, but I want to break it down just a little bit more, because this is what Tom taught me and I've shared with others, is if you don't have a procedure in place and you're wondering how, and you're in the midst of it, you write down every single step that you're doing as you're doing it. Let's just say, for instance, you're a painter. You're covering and protecting. I say painter because Ben and his crew is here painting, and boy, have they covered and protected. I've got a zipper wall right there. I got a zipper wall on the other wall. Like, these guys, it looks amazing. But you have to go, okay, the procedure is, I need to purchase a paper. I need to apply the paper. I need to apply the tape. I need to apply the zipper. I need to tape off the walls. Whatever it is, write it down, and then hand that off to somebody that can make it pretty. What do I mean by making it pretty? Hand that off to someone that can take your chicken scratch and compile it into a very nice little package, put it in a file on your computer, put it in a binder, whatever it is. You don't have to, we talk about the who and the how. You don't have to know how to do it. Just write that stuff down. You could even go farther, and nobody's going to do this, Tim. You ready for this one? Nobody's going to do it.
No. I remember back in the day when Steve was sharing his secret formula with all the contractors, all the pond contractors at his house. And he even had his direct competition that was living in his backyard. And he was teaching them how he did it. And he's, I can't believe I'm sharing this with my competition, because it doesn't matter. They're not going to do it anyways.
No. So this is the thing. It's like, why don't you hire a teenager? Why don't you hire someone that's really organized and have them follow you around? Pay them a few $100, pay them a few $1,000, whatever it is, and have them follow you around and follow your team around in video, record, write down what you guys are doing. for a few grand. Let's say if it's a $5,000, would it be worth a $5,000 investment to have someone follow your team around for a month or so and just write down what you guys are doing and put it in a binder? Because I was very fortunate at my garden center that we had a school teacher that worked for us, and she wanted to work through the winter, and we didn't really have anything going on in the winter. So we went, you know what? How about this? We really need to create our own manual, our SOP manual, how we run our company. And for 2 months, that's what she did. As a teacher, very organized, and they like to do, there's those stickers and stuff on there. And it's really, but now that manual is right under our desk at the garden center, our front counter rather. And anytime I come in and there's a new team member, I see them thumbing through that thing. And it's gotten tattered, so we've replaced some of the pages, but there's dirt on it. We're a garden center, we're messing with soil and plants. It's just like you can tell that it's being used. But we paid someone, I would say probably $15,000 after it's all said and done, because she was there all winter long. Probably $10,000. But that was 5 years ago. And all we do now is we add another little sheet in there as something else comes up. What else has came up? It's how we handle our houseplants. Because of COVID pushed our whole houseplant thing. We didn't do a lot of houseplants, but now we do. There's a whole section. How do I know this? Because I saw a new team member thumbing through it, and I was just curious. And I walked up and I said, "What you looking at?" She said, "I'm looking at the watering procedure for the houseplants." And I was like, "No way."
Yeah. So this met for me, Derek, and because we have a lull, the winter time for us, I have all these things written down. I know where our shortcomings are because I'm cognizant of it. If one of my guys is out in the field and they're saying, "Hey, can I spend extra time to do this at a client's home?" I'm like, that's right there. We have to create an SOP for that. Are we allowed to do something? It's like, yeah, if something's in the best interest of the customer, then yes, do it. Absolutely do it. That goes with our values, and that's what we wrote down 2 years ago. The values, our employee handbook. It's like, how many companies out there don't feel that they need an employee handbook, but yet they answer the question, "Hey, do we have Labor Day off this year? Do we have President's Day off?" It's like, if you wrote it down in a handbook, there would never be that question, and everybody could go on and having a happy life. Unless you kind of, every year you like to say the same damn thing. When you look out on a Monday morning and it's President's Day, you don't work President's Day, and your guys are pulling in the driveway.
Wasted a trip, guys, but I guess since you're here.
Yeah. I mean, but if you don't, let's do another comparison. You're flying an airplane, and the engine goes out.
You better have a flight plan.
You better have a flight plan, first of all, so they know what to find the wreckage.
So 2015, we're in Cabo, and Dave Bloxham was there. And Dave Bloxham, as you know him well. Dave Bloxham worked for Southwest, American Airlines. And we had just got out of Steve Shinholzer's boot camp, where he opened up his whole company and shared it with all of us pond guys. And I still, to this day, I have sitting right there. I have it right here. Since we can actually, since we're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a CSA one, but it's the Academy. It has everything in here. Like, I can flip to this, and it goes through. Once I know the kind of money we're talking, then I say, sometimes I see things at your home that I can't see from the picture on my computer screen. If I show up and see something that will prevent me from fixing up your pond, as we just talked about, then I'll tell you straight up that I can't do it. Are you okay with me being that? But it's like, it's all in here. Like, this is how we run our business. This is Shin Fu is in here. It's all this stuff. So this is a flight plan. I mean, it even got, it's like, remember these, Tim?
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like, this was in here. Yeah. We still use them. My point is, David Bloxham said, "You know what? This is like a flight plan. If you don't have a flight plan, you're going to crash your plane." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "A pilot has to go his flight plan checklist before they actually get off the ground." And I went, "No way." Because my brother-in-law was in the Air Force, and he flew like a Cessna 147, just a small, prop plane. But that's what he would fly in. And I got to go up several times, and I remember him going through the checklist, and he's checking the fuel, he's checking for water in the fuel, he's checking the flaps. That is your business. If you don't have a direct plan, an SOP in place, you're going to crash. And you constantly have to evolve these things, and you constantly have to teach your team these things. And why is Tim and myself really, really good at Shin Fu? Because we've spent a lot of time going over the same flight plan. over and over and over.
You and I know, we know that the landing gear doesn't come up if we're off the ground. It just doesn't get touched. We don't do that. And look, how they get to the standard operating procedures for planes. A plane crashes. What do they look for? That black box. And what are they going to look in that black box for? The clues. And what are they going to do with those clues? They're going to analyze them. And they're going to figure out why it happened, and they're going to write a plan how it doesn't happen again. An operating procedure. If you have a engine that goes out, if it flames out, whatever, if a bird hits it, whatever, they know what they're doing next, so they don't have to look for that black box again. I don't want to crash and burn. I've done it. It's not fun.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's getting old. God, it's done. Done with it. Flame in the yeah. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Flame in the flames. Yeah, there we go.
Fanning the flames.
Fanning the flames. Thank you so much. That's like a deer in the taillights of a 57 Corvette.
Deer in the headlights. Headlights in the deer. I don't want to keep on making the same mistakes. And you know, the thing is, Derek, with you, and I'd say me too, it's like your team is watching you.
Yes.
And if they're saying you struggle, and it's like if a customer is yelling at you because of poor communication, they're laughing. It gets to the point where it's laughable because they can see how it could have been prevented by something so simple. It's like, why don't you just tell her that from the beginning, or that person? It's like, because it's easy. If it's written down, and that's how you run your business, if you follow the 5 steps of the Shin Fu, you don't have these problems. If you have a contract, you don't have a person yelling at you. It just makes sense not to fly by the seat of your pants, literally. And I don't want to go back. Don't wait until the stress gets so much where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. Look in the mirror, realize it's probably you that. I want to tell a story, but I don't. It's about a dog howling, and I don't want to howl on the microphone. But how uncomfortable do you have to be to realize that the only change that needs to be made is write it down, what's going wrong, and you don't have to fix this. It's not all about you finding a solution for it. If you were to bring it to your team saying, here's the problem I have, but we have, let's brainstorm a little bit. How in a perfect world, how could we make this like 1% better? And you're going to find out you don't have to have all the ideas. They do. It inspires. Even on, like, we had a coach's call last Monday, we started spitballing and throwing ideas out there, and we came up with a solution that we didn't even think was a solution. It's easy, and it's not all being the smartest guy.
And the best part about that solutions we came up with, it went into our Slack channel, and there was the information we talked about, and then we've carried it on. We're implementing that solution. It was not just a spitballing session, and that was it. And that's what happens. That's at the beginning of this podcast. That's exactly what I was saying, Tim. He gets so frustrated to have these spitballing, these brainstorming sessions, and nothing happens. And that's the way your company runs, is nothing happens. And if you don't have anything to fall back on, you're just going to be in the weeds, and it makes things so much easier. Now, I'll never forget this. I remember when I got better at the FOO and a customer said something to me, and I was able to handle that objection question. And I was like, wow, I actually have something to default on. And that's an SOP.
I love it. I'm Tim.
I'm Derek.
And we'll see you next time.